Hey gamers, welcome back to Banished Souls Cryptic Gaming here. So the deck has finally dropped its video. If you missed that, I'm going to be going over the things that you need to know in this game. What's going to happen to those pieces of 8, what's going to happen to your sovereigns, what's going to happen with the shipwright, what's going to happen with ship upgrades and helm management, and some other great information. So to start unpacking that, first things first, we know that we're going to be getting a fleet management system. What exactly is that going to include? Well, that is going to include new weapons. It's going to include new furniture as well. They said over 20 pieces between that. Now, what does that mean for ships? It sounds like there's at least a couple new ships coming in, but it sounds like part of that fleet management, we are going to be able to upgrade our ships. And from what I was seeing on their video, they can bring that up 6 more levels to make those ships a little tougher. One of the cool things they are going to be adding in here, I've got some notes. Let me check my notes here, folks. We're looking at better silver payouts. For those who are wondering what's going to happen with that, you know how we have to basically most of your silver's coming from commodities. Well, they're going to actually start making so it pays more silver, so you're not becoming a merchant trying to sell commodities at different locations. That to me is great. It's a pirate game. This is not a let's go get some stuff and sell it over here for a good price and then come over here for a good price. So we're going to see better silver payouts coming. One of the weapons that I did see in the little video that they showed is called a spring loader. It's going to have different style of effects, so you'll have fire effects on there. The coolest one that I seen was the minefield. It will launch a minefield out that you can drop in front of ships, over to the sides of the ships and stuff. If you get enough people using that, you're really going to be able to hoard in, whether it's PvP or PvE, some situations like that. One thing that they said that I was a little kind of like, okay, whatever. With the Hubach twins, they said that Lopez is mostly supposed to be a character that is haunting your trade routes, okay? So your trade routes, meaning for your 8s and stuff, you'll see these little lines coming up. That's supposed to have been what his purpose was. They said Benz never technically got rid of Lopez, that he could end up popping in at any time in the future seasons, which I thought was a little weird, because if you've played the Blighted Bastion and you've actually completed that Blighted Bastion, the thing that you do at the end of that mission is you grab his head, you take his head, you cut his head off, and you bring it over here to Blackwood. So I don't know exactly how they're going to bring him back, but okay, they're talking about maybe he'll pop back for special events to haunt the trade routes. So of course, piece of 8 collection, the thing that's going to happen with that is if you go to your shipwrights, actually the best way to bring that up is going to be here. So we are allowed 40 slots of ships. You're going to end up having to build ships based off of, if you ever played Kenway's fleet over on Black Flag, certain routes were more difficult, so it requires larger ships or maybe even more ships. That's going to be implemented in this game, and you're going to have to build those ships in such a way that they're going to be able to handle those routes based off what they're going to run into, but they will collect your 8s automatically. They're looking at doing some commodity change, or some economy changes, I should say, when it comes to these manufacturers. You know how it costs like ungodly amounts right now of silver to get these things boosted up. So here's one. We're going to see exactly what this is going to cost to boost. We're looking at 50,160 to boost this manufactory here up to a 10. To get that funded. Well, one of the things they're going to see is the silver price is going to drop on that. We're not going to have to pay as much, so that's going to be pretty nice. But unfortunately, what that means is, who knows what they're going to be paying out. They didn't go into that. They're adjusting that some more. They said they want to make it a little more even for everybody, meaning the dedicated gamer is going to be held back again by the people who are just coming into the game and don't really want to put into hours and stuff. So a little unhappy about that. They, of course, said how much we're going to get in our pieces of 8, but I want to finish talking about some of this stuff here. So you're going to be able to revamp long guns. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but they said that the long guns were supposed to be originally some of the more powerful weapons in this game. So I don't know if that means they're just going to come in and change some of these values that we see in here with the long guns, which would be, let's see, over here, it looks like right now we have, unless you're using a Skurlock or something like that's cost a lot of money. I mean, your long gun 5 only goes to 95. Of course, then you have your enhanced long guns, minusing the Skurlock long 9. You're looking at 2,762 damage. So they're supposed to be changing those where we can bring those values up. So whether that's something they're going to do on their end or we're going to be able to upgrade the weapons is almost what it's sounding like with that as well. So that's going to be a pretty cool perk to be able to do. I know a lot of us kind of stay away from long guns. They're not very strong unless you're hitting weak points and stuff. The Lapontent schematic is not going to go away. They're actually going to revamp that, where it's going to increase your odds coming into the season 2s and 3s and forward as well. We're going to be seeing, my guess is, when you come into your carpenter, sounds like some new furnitures, but it's almost sounding like instead of everything is level 1, you're going to start seeing some level 2 options within that. We're going to be seeing a lot of stuff coming into the black market. So when you go to your black market over here, you're going to start finding new blueprints and new weapons. They said they want to try and make more blueprints accessible coming out of season 1 going into season 2. So I do recommend that we need to be checking this market here for those blueprints as they release and picking them up as soon as possible. Now, for those of you who have been collecting silver, nothing's going to happen to your silver. That's staying where it's at. Nothing is going to happen to your sovereigns. You're going to be keeping all of your sovereigns. As you can see, we have 5,150. Toward the end of the week, that'll be closer to about 5,300. So that's going to be nice. Unfortunately, the pieces of 8, I was going to save this for the end like they did, just to tease you along a little while, but I'm going to go ahead and get it out there, guys. Pieces of 8, anything over 3,000 gets reset. Doesn't show anything about whether or not we're going to be getting anything for those excess 8s. Understand, not everybody ran those exploits like some of the guys at the top of the charts did. So for those of us who have ground and we've had to go and pick up our 8s for 2 hours on a haul, multiple times a week, that's a lot of hours we've wasted in the game that we're not getting anything for. So my recommendation to you is going to be very simple. Okay, you're going to want to come up here before the end of season 1. You're going to want to come over here to the black market, and you're going to want to fill up on any of the major items that you need for building your weapons. It doesn't sounds like some new ones are going to come in, but they said these old ones are still going to come into play. So you're going to want to come in here and you're going to want to fill up on this stuff and spend those 8s. That way you're not losing it for nothing. Now, when you have your manufactories reset, if you look at our thing over here, you're also going to be able to buy rare commodities, stuff like that. So just stock up what you can, whatever it takes you to spend that stuff. You want to get to where you're not coming into season 2 with more than 300,000. It did not say that they were giving you anything for anything over 300,000. It said they're doing a soft reset. Anything above 300,000 is going to be lost. I am not happy about that. I'm sure a lot of gamers will not. It is not a deal breaker for me to stop playing the game, though. It is a situation where I will be changing up my play style, though, because I'm not going to continue to grind out millions of stuff if they're just going to take it from you anyway and not give you anything back. There is a card I'm going to post up here for you while I'm talking about this, where it's going to show you, depending on how many of the factories you own. So it says territory resets. Just using this, it shows from number of territories down to 16. We own more than 16 territories, obviously, but it's going to show here where if you own a single territory, you're going to get a helm lease. That means that you're going to get to choose one specific manufacturer coming to season 2 for every type of these deals, these territories. I'm guessing a territory, if you look at this map here, you are broken into territories, not just in other areas. You see this area see these areas that light up. This is considered an area here. This is an area here, an area over here, an area over there. For each of these that you have completed, you're going to be able to get a lease, which I guess will give you where you can do one option. Now you can do it based off of what they produce. You're going to be able to choose those based off of who owns those territories, whether it's Campaigny or whomever that's in there. That's something you're going to be able to choose. So it says number of territories 16 means that you will get 6 helm leases, means you'll be starting into season 2 the ability to grab 6 territories, any territory that you want, or you can break it down territory area as far as who owns it or what it's producing. So that'll be kind of interesting to see that. Pieces of 8 just says more than 300,000 are going to get reset. Doesn't say whether or not it's going to go to sovereigns or not or anything like that. I think it's going to be hard pressed to spend the amount of 8s. I mean, I just bought a bunch of stuff and we haven't even budged our 8s there, so that's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Now, manufactory reset, that means how many you own. We have currently 45 of 96. So at 45 manufactory numbers, according to this card, we will be getting ship upgrade parts. We'll get 36 of them, or just a few more. Looks like at 50 you'll get 45, so we're somewhere between 36 45 right now. I may go ahead and finish capturing these out just to have it. Now, it does not specify whether or not those are at level 10 or not. I'm going to bring them up to 10 just to make sure, so you will be able to get those ship upgrade parts, which are going to happen at the shipwright. They mentioned a higher level shipwright. For those who are wondering what that means, what that's talking about, well, your shipwright is over here. Nope, that's the refinery. Sorry, guys. Your shipwright's over here, ship builder, however you want to call it. But it sounds like it may actually be given away to upgrade, and based off that upgrade level is what you're going to be able to upgrade your ships to using those ship parts that you get for the manufactories. So they have changed the game. It is now beneficial to grab as many territories as you can. I think we can grind the rest of those out in a day or two pretty easy. It doesn't take too much to grab those. Now we're going to be seeing a mad dash at the end of the season to grab territories, I'm sure. But that's one of the things to be looking for in here. Now, like I said, we had 6 levels on each ship. One of the cool things is the smaller ships. So I know a lot of us had used the sloop early on, very maneuverable. They're going to be increasing the maneuverability. They're going to have it where we're upgrading those, but they're going to be adding more weapons ports because it's kind of ridiculous how you only have one off each side, one off the front, nothing on the back. So even though some of those ships traditionally in history had more weapons than that, so we're going to be seeing where we're going to be able to add more weapons to that to give it a higher DPS and benefit from those increased mobilities. And the same with other ships as well, up into your mediums. They did not say whether any of those ships are going to be a large hull. In fact, it sounds like most of the ones they're going to give us are going to be medium hulls, and then we're going to just be able to upgrade the ships that we currently have existing. You are allowed 40 ship slots. For those who don't know, that means you can build up to 40 ships, and you're going to need to be building ships based off of these routes. So what you're going to end up seeing, there's going to be a change. It's going to have a level of difficulty for these trade routes. So my guess is the more routes you have coming in and out, the more ships you're going to need. So I don't know if that means you got to assign one for each route, or if you're going to have to, you see each line is considered a route. So on this one here, you would end up needing at least 6 ships based off of whatever the difficulty is, which I think most of us will be building some of the larger ships just to have that in there. We'll just have to wait and see exactly what that looks like. So that's going to be something that's interesting. They said they never intended for people to be trying to grind as many sovereigns as we have and to have to grind as much silver as we have to constantly grind. But that's exactly what the game was. So how you can set the game up that way, then nerf everything where it's going to cost exorbitant amounts of silver, and claim, well, we didn't realize that's what's going to happen. You didn't give it much follow-through is my point of view. Unfortunately, I didn't get to ask any questions in the thing, inside their stream, because they already have their select questions they've got answers for, made so, by the card that they had set up. For those of us who did not use those duplicate exploits for our pieces of 8, I'm sure right now, if you're watching this video, you're sitting there, you're fuming a little bit. Understand, we'll just have to wait and see if they're going to give us something for what's over it. But my recommendation is don't wait around, because I would hate to see, I'm not going to lose 1.7 million in 8s and not get anything from it. I'm just not. So I'll spend it and get what I can. So one of the things I did want to look at here in the black market while we're doing that and discussing this is they had these the option to be able to buy different types of commodity items based off what they are. So one of the things we want to look at is the green heart planks. We want to see what sells green heart planks. Obviously, specialized materials, crude saltpeter, the shellac and things like that. We've got a lot of the other stuff, but maybe we decide we want to get some more of that crude saltpeter and some of that shellac. As far as the skins, you can get those anywhere. Ramie and Abaca, those are some great things that you may want to be investing in as well. As far as the ironwood, juniper and stuff, there seems to be plenty of that laying around out there in the world. So let's see what else we got. I'm not seeing any green heart plank, unfortunately, which means that we're going to have to farm that stuff up ourselves. But again, like I say, worm's breath and all, sounds like it's still going to be something that is a high commodity item that we need to make sure that we're buying. Make sure that we have stocked up. So I'm just coming in buying 20 at a time, watching my 8s. As you see, we're still sitting at over $1 million. My paperwork on it, I'm sitting over $2 million right now. I'm not going to worry next season in getting too much, as far as, unless they end up giving us sovereigns and payout, we'll leave a little over the amount. I'll probably spend this down to right at $1 million if I can. But you want to come in here for those who are looking at items that you really wanted, like the Rocket 3s. the Leopolds and stuff like that, or even the blueprints, I do recommend go ahead and start spending the eights. Anything over 300,000, go ahead and go into that season with the blueprints or extra weapons that you're going to want, because you're going to have to build ships to run that new fleet management system. You're going to have to build. They were talking like you may end up needing 6 ships for some of these territories. So have enough where you can build more than that, because understand, if that's for one manufacturer, you need 6 ships. You're going to need a lot of ships. They give us slots for 40. So pretty good indicator of what they have in mind on that, in my opinion. Now, as far as what you're going to equip on those are completely up to you. A lot of our Black Prince armor, you're looking at 450 sovereigns for that. However, you could come in and you could get some of these other armors that are pretty close. So this one here actually has an armor value of 1050. If you look at this, this has an armor value of 1200. But if you look at the Gamma Cobra 2, you're looking at 1250. Now, obviously, we don't have the fire damage exploit on this. This here has 18%. So based off what type of ships, if you're sending ships over into Africa plains, we're going to show you what that's at. If you're sending ships over here in a fleet management, you're going to want to make sure that you have something with a lot of fire protection on it, because that's what's over in this area. Now, as you come over here, if you're collecting in this area, you're not going to have to run into those fire ships much, unless you're sending those helm ships with the flamethrowers on it. Most of what you're going to see is penetration from torpedoes or cannon fire looking to make flood damage. So make sure that you set your fleets up, your ships up, based off what it's going to require for protection. Over here, you don't really run into a whole heck of a lot of anything, but this area is heavy for fire in Africa, so you need to definitely keep up with that. So then they went on a pretty long rant about apparently they said there was a lot of questions. I didn't see any questions about it, but they said there was a lot of questions about, are they going to introduce different types of cheese into the game that you can eat? Now, why would that even be a viable question people would be asking, unless it's a planted question that they wanted to come up with? Of course, their answer, which took about 15 to 20 minutes, was, well, we have the different types of the areas, where it's the French ships and the DMCs and stuff, where they could introduce different cheeses and have different types of effects and stuff. Honestly, man, grilled fish or anything that you get in here, you grill it, you eat it, and you go on. That's just part of it. Now, one of the things that we are going to see is we're going to see some of those new characters in our ship management here. When you come into cosmetics, you're going to come down here to this, let's find it here, the pets. So they're going to be adding some new pets. One guy had a crab on his and all that. I did not hear where they were going to be bringing any effects to your ships. Like I said, used to back in the closed betas, these actually held different effects. That's not the case now we just kind of see, a monkey with a different outfit, or a lemur with a different outfit, cat that has wooden legs. Regardless of what cat you're using, a little bit different color, it might change a few things, but it brings nothing special to your ship. So I don't know if we're going to see them change that. Those would be some things they did hint around, that we'll start seeing some changes coming within the system to be able to bulk some of those things up. But looking at being able to do ship upgrades, so to me that's pretty good. Let me look at our my little notes here. I want to make sure that we have everything covered. Yeah, so we're going to have those lists of those things. We're going to put this up here at the end as well, that card that explains exactly what you're looking at, what they've mentioned, but there is nothing according to the card or according to what they said that's going to reward you anything for anything over 300,000 pieces of 8. So my guess is spend it up, man. You can save a little bit, see what you get. But I want to go in here feeling pretty strong with what sovereigns I've got. They're not going to touch our sovereigns. They're not going to touch our silver. They're not going to touch the commodities in the warehouse or anything like that, in case you were worried about that. I know that's one of the things that a lot of us had been grinding up. Some of our guys have been grinding. They've gotten up to 1.5 billion and stuff like that. And silver, like, are we going to lose all this? Or are they just going to up the value so it costs even more? It doesn't sound like they're going to do that. They're actually going to lower the cost, the silver cost, to charge those manufacturers, which would be nice. I'm not seeing anything in here that I really need, because, like I say, I've always bought what I need. But what I am going to do is come through and say, okay, you know what? Maybe with my ships, we might want to throw Leopold 2s on, or we might want to throw Mortar 2s on, or something like that, because we can pick those up with pieces of 8. We can buy a lot of those to build a large fleet. And then, of course, our ships, we want to keep the best that we can. But Fire Bombard 2s and stuff like that, it doesn't sound like the fleets are going to be accessible when you send out a fleet to pick up your eights. It's not going to be accessible to other players, but it is accessible to a make-believe NPC number system. So based off of how many ships you're sending, what their power rating is going to be, it's going to have all those things when you're assigning ships to that location to collect. It's going to show you the value of what ship you've assigned. Is it enough that you need to send more? And you'll be able to adjust that and build your fleets accordingly with that. So that's going to be something. You're going to be building more ships. So that's one of the things I do say. Make sure that you are building up your warehouse stores. Look at what ship it is you're wanting to build, what those are going to require as far as materials. So if we want to come over here, just for example, I was going to go to warehouse, but we can do it from here. We'll go over here. So let's say if I decide I want to build a fleet of the barks, I need to be able to come over here, craft, and we'll come up and we'll look. And for bark, we need green heart plank. It looks like it's going to take 12. So we're going to want to build, say we decide we want to build 10 ships. So we're going to need 120. So we need to make sure we have enough magnetite ingot, which we do, enough of that raw slid cloth, which we do, zinc ingots. I think we got enough to build 10 of them. Most of our stuff we have enough. We did go through, we started building a lot of weapons that required green heart plank for folks. So I've got to get that back up because I'm sitting at 0. That's something I'm going to be working on the rest of the day. So you can see your requirements there. Build your ships and understand to upgrade those ships, it's going to require parts for your ships. They did show a little piece in there where this guy was on level 2 of 6 on parts, and to bring it to level 3 for an upgrade on your ship, you get 6 levels for the ship he was showing, which was the Sandbuck. You're going to be 6. It costs 6 pieces to bring that up. So we're looking again at this map here. This card that they posted up, where it says that you will get 36 ship parts at for 40 manufactories. So that's going to, if it only costs 6 per upgrade, we're going to be able to upgrade a ship to level 6. One ship up to level 6. As far as where you get the rest of the ship parts, my guess is that's something that's going to pop up in the boss battles, like they've said, special event battles. We're going to be seeing more of that coming, like the sea monsters and stuff like that. It may be certain types of parts that they didn't give a lot of information on, but there's going to be ship parts. I imagine we're going to see some come into the black market as well. Like I said, sovereigns not getting touched, so do what you can to keep your sovereigns up is my big thing to you. Once you hit diamond rank, unless they change something, it sounds like diamond rank is still going to be based off of how much you collect, because they want to make sure that that cosmetic piece is set up for everyone to use. So you're going to want to make sure once you get to diamond rank, just grind what you need. Unless they end up giving us sovereigns for extra 8s, there's really no need to grind over that. I mean, there really isn't. Now, it's an easy currency to be able to grab some materials and stuff for sure, but got to say, a little disappointed that they caved in, and that's exactly what happened. They caved in to players that either came in late to the game or players who don't have a lot of time, and I understand that, but you cannot run a successful game by punishing those who actually have taken the time to grind when you just come in and say, well, we're just going to do a soft reset, wipe out anything over a certain level. Got to say, a little PO'd about that. But we're just going to see how it works out here in the end. They said that you should be able to walk around the island here the next couple weeks, which is something that I myself have been doing, and start seeing where it looks like they're going to set some things up. So it could potentially, there might end up being something set up over in this area here. It looks like there might be some construction or something going to be taking place there. Of course, we have this area up here, but that's pretty pointless. There's nothing really happens up there. I think you picked up a investigation, and as you continue to come up on the island, we started to see some new areas, such as this area here that really has no use. So we may end up seeing something up here that takes place, and then let's head back down toward the warehouse. If you've ever noticed over here in St. Anne, you're going to come over on the other side of the warehouse, and I am completely lost here. Okay, I see where we're at. When you come around this side here, there's this door, and you can't get through. My guess is fleet management's going to be back over here because you do have a ship back in this area. We'll just have to wait and see. they were talking a little bit about in the future. They said seasons 3 or 4. Not right now, obviously, seasons 3 or 4 that we're going to be looking at being able to capture our own area, like what St. Anne would be, which we've talked about. That'll end up being part of a in-game clan, which is going to be located in this area. Now, if it stays true to what the original testing was, we're talking back before some of the beta tests, you had an area that was back up in this vicinity somewhere, and then there was an area somewhere up in this vicinity right in here where we were able to capture those two areas and actually set up our own version of St. Anne or the Indies, and your clan or your fleet would move into those areas, and then you would be able to. Hopefully, they won't keep it that way. You know how when you come out and you see the scavenger ships that are going up along the bank lines, they'll be able to build a fleet pool of basic materials based off what they have up there. But understand this is all going to be PvP, and one of the big things that used to take place is if I seen a scavenger ship coming around and it didn't have escorts, we sunk it, we took the gear, and we brought it back to our area. That's what I'm envisioning they're going to be doing in seasons 3 and 4, kind of what we've talked about in the past. But that is the update on the information that they gave us tonight. So I hope it helps you out. Hope you know be able to figure out what gameplay, as far as what style of play you're going to do, how you're going to start addressing some of these eights and stuff like that in the future. Y'all have a wonderful evening.